Hi there, I'm Geoff Strempel. I'm currently the Director of the State Library, and libraries have been a big part of my life since childhood. So for me, to end up working in libraries has been a real pleasure and a privilege, and something that I've really enjoyed all the way through. For me, early on, being surrounded by books that my father would bring home from a local library was a starting point for me to explore sort of endless numbers of stories. The house was always full of books. And for me, that was sort of the start of exploring your own imagination and exploring the world and the endless possibilities. So, fiction to start with in some ways, but then moving on to looking at learning more about the world. I'm innately curious, and I think I've been really fortunate that libraries have been able to answer that curiosity. Things have changed a lot. Now if you've got an instant question, you can grab your phone and get an answer. But it hasn't always been that way. And libraries have been sort of the great sense of finding out things for me. More than that, though, I suppose I've ended up deliberately choosing to work in libraries. I qualified as a librarian because I could see the value it had for my life, but then the more I've learned about what it means for other people's lives has meant so much of a fulfilment for me in my career. The opportunity to provide access to information to everybody in the society. I'm delighted we live in a country where public libraries are fairly widespread and freely available. And on top of that, we have other special places like state and national libraries that collect our treasures and our history that go back for hundreds of years and preserve that and make it available too. So a combination of instantly accessible information and storing the records and the histories of who we are, I think libraries, or for me, libraries add great value and meaning to who we are as a people, a nation, or even a local family. Being able to research your family history or any of those sorts of things. To me, libraries add a richness to the democratic sort of sense of who we are as a nation and as a people. The other thing that I've really loved about working in libraries is to see that although lots of people think of libraries as relatively conservative, libraries have always been really early adopters of technology where it makes access to information much easier. So I had the privilege of working in a support mechanism, a support business unit for libraries when internet first rolled out free across the state. And I do remember visiting a country town where the first person in the council to have an email address was the library manager and not the CEO. And the CEO would walk over to the library, which was in a different building, if he wanted to send one of these newfangled emails. So libraries have been at that really sort of cutting edge of making access to not just one-way information like what can I find on the internet, but opening up people in rural and remote areas to be able to have a dialogue with other communities, people of like interest. For me, there's been interesting occasions where I go on tour to visit public libraries and you meet people who say, my daughter has a particular medical condition and there's no one else in our town who's got that, but I've joined a support group and there's 30 of us in South Australia and we get online and we share this information. And if it wasn't for the library and access to the internet, I would never have been able to do that. So those sorts of things I see as really life transforming and why there's real joy and meaning to what I do for my job.